Today we got a story time that is completely I can't say that. I want ads. Today we have a story time that is completely fricked up, dude. No, but it's a pretty messed up story. So yeah, sit back, relax, grab something to eat, grab some popcorn, grab your Xbox, grab your Bitcoin miner, grab your Abacus, and let's just jump right into it. We're going to call the subscriber who sent in this story, which, by the way, you can send in stories and be featured on the channel to my Instagram in the description. Anyways, we're going to call this guy, we're going to call him Will. And for all the names in this video, once again, I got them from suggestions in the comment section. So suggest names down below. And by the way, if I don't use your name, don't take it personally. There's a lot of suggestions, and I'm very appreciative because I'm not very creative. And if not, I would have used the name Ben every single time. But anyways, right, we're going to call this guy Will. So Will has been in a relationship for pretty close to 2 years at this point. So it's a pretty dedicated relationship. And we're going to call Will's girlfriend Charlotte. And obviously, Charlotte is a wonderful person. You can tell that by the title of the video. So anyways, right, Charlotte and Will have been going pretty strong for almost 2 years at this point. And, yeah, just a heads up, the story, sometimes it's like kind of a funny twist and how it's kind of like a funny ending and how like everything works out. Not all my stories are like that, and this is an example of one that it's just not good. Anyways, right, so Charlotte and Will, they have been going strong for almost 2 years at this point, and they've had ups and downs, right? They've had points where they've, had some arguments, but at this point they were, going pretty well. Well, at least that's what Will, thought was going on. He thought things were going pretty well, but obviously there were definitely some things under the hood that were not being taken care of, because otherwise this whole situation, this whole dumpster fire would not have gone down the way it was. So anyways, right, this whole, debacle starts when one day, Charlotte decides, or Charlotte and Will decide, they want, like, Charlotte should come over to his house and they should hang out for, like, a night or whatever. And his parents, at this point, Will's parents, they were both seniors in high school, and at this point, Will and Charlotte's parents were pretty chill with them, like, hanging out together and giving them space. I guess they just, like, trusted them not to do anything crazy. Like, they just kind of trusted them that, they're not going to, like, accidentally create a child and both drop out of college, which is, like, if you do that, that's fine, but not necessarily what Charlotte and Will's parents wanted. But other than that, they trusted them and said, you can do whatever you want. We don't really care. And honestly, low-key, like, not the worst idea for parenting. Like, especially when you're, like, both 18, you're both, like, seniors in high school, like, dude, you're getting there. Like, you're almost going to be at college. Like, just let them do it. Anyways, right, so Charlotte and Will, Charlotte comes over to Will's house, and, they're on pretty good terms, so they're pretty excited to see each other. The plan is to, like, just, eat food, watch a movie. The parents will be out for the night. The parents just decide to see if, like, they could go over to some friend's house for a while, just to honestly give these two space, because the parents are like, you know what, we were kids once, and, like, if we had, like, a girlfriend over, we definitely would not want, our parents just chilling there. So, the parents went out. I don't know. They went out to, like, maybe see a movie and then have, like, a late dinner or something. I don't know. They definitely gave them a lot of time and a lot of space. But anyways, right, so the plan was they're going to chill, maybe watch a movie. I don't really know what else they'd do in a, home alone without any parents. Maybe they would, consult each other on their next stock and bond purchases. That's something that, couples, when left alone in a house with a bed, normally end up doing. They talk about bond rates. Anyways, right, so they're there, and they decide that they want to watch a movie. Charlotte's like, hey, I haven't seen this movie yet. And Will's like, yeah, actually, I have that. It's on Netflix, or I have that on demand, or somehow it's saved. So while Will's queuing up the movie, in comes Will's older brother. Will's older brother is like 2 years older, so we'll call him Dan. So Dan is 20, Will is 18, Charlotte's 18. So Dan, he is in his first year of college, but it's like it's kind of like he's not away at college, he's going to a community college, so he comes back home every night or whatever, and, he's doing it, saving some money. Maybe he'll go to a craft school or something, which, like, low-key, like, community college or, like, a trade school is kind of smart, dude. Like, you can make six figures from a trade school and almost have no debt. So, man, if you don't know what you want to do and you think that might be cool, low-key, like, a little future advice from me, not the worst call. Anyways, right, so Dan is there, and Dan stops down, and, Dan is, like, knows about Charlotte, right? Dan and, has had some conversations with Charlotte because, like, his younger brother had been dating her for, like, at this point, 2 years, right? So anyways, right, Dan comes down, and, Charlotte turns, and, like, they start talking to each other. And Will's like, yo, what's up, bro? And then he goes back to trying to, like, set up the TV to, like, play the movie. So he's not really noticing. But, kind of in retrospect, kind of like when he was thinking back on this moment, like Charlotte was really invested in the conversation with with Dan. And Will just kind of thought to himself, well, dude, of course, like whatever. She hasn't seen my older brother in like a while. Like, it's fine. She's just interested in talking with him. Uh-huh. So anyways, right, eventually they get the movie on. Dan's like, all right, guys, I'll see you around. Nice to see you again, Charlotte, right? So he goes back upstairs, and they're just watching the movie. They're just chilling. So about halfway through the movie, this is where things get a little suspicious. About halfway through the movie, right, Charlotte turns to Will and says, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. I have to do, like, lady stuff. And just leaves it at that and says, I might be gone for a second. Like, feel free to keep watching the movie. And Will's like, no, it's fine. I'll pause it. I'll just watch some vids on my phone or something. He's probably watching some Connor Pugs videos because, he's definitely, like, gets all the ladies and he's really cool. And he is such a massive I can't say that. He is such a massive wee-wee because he also has notifications on, by the way. That's a fact. I don't make the rules, dude. No, but anyways, right, Charlotte goes upstairs to deal with lady things. That's just a blanket term to be like, don't come up. I'm also going to be gone for a undisclosed period of time. And so anyways, right, Dan's just there. I don't know. He's on his phone, maybe playing Clash of Clans or something, playing with his Nope, not saying that. But anyways, right, after about, like, 20 minutes or so, Dan's just like, all right, like, what's going on? Like, that's a little weird. And about, like, 5 minutes after that, so 25 minutes later, Charlotte comes down the stairs and says, hey, sorry, that took longer than I thought. And at this point, Dan's like, okay, whatever. Thinks literally nothing of it. He was a little suspicious for, a millisecond, and then he's like, oh, okay, whatever. And, so Charlotte, she sits down next to him, and she just looks a little, like... Okay, I'm trying to say this without, like, dude, YouTube, please. Anyways, she looks like her face is a little red. She's, like, a little flustered, but not, like, angry, if you know what I mean. Anyways, your imagination can do whatever you want. And within, like, 5 minutes, right, Dan walks down the stairs and just, like, says nothing, just goes out the door, goes to his car, drives away. And in retrospect, right, there's a reason why, Will is telling me all this in the DMs. But at the moment, he thought nothing of it. He thought these were just separate events, just like, these were all just data points in his memory. This was not, like, suspicion or anything. Anyways, right, so, that day goes and passes, and, Charlotte and Will, they have no real hiccups in the relationship. If anything, like, Will was telling me that at this period in their relationship, it was probably the smoothest it has ever been. Like, there was legitimately no hiccups. Like, well, Charlotte was great, and she was great. There's a reason why Will, she was great, kind of. Obviously, you can read the title. She was great, kind of. But, she was really good, but, at the same time, she was, she had opinions, and she stuck by them, and she would, like, fight tooth and nail over. She would die on a hill for stuff that really didn't matter, which obviously meant that there was some fighting in the relationship, but they literally had nothing. They had nothing for this time period of like a month or two. And obviously it also coincided with the fact that Dan, Will's older brother, had been back for about a month or two because he was gone over the summer for like some trip or something that he started community college. But obviously, right, Will wasn't thinking about this. It was almost as if I was to say that during this time period, like, I don't know, beluga whales mating increased by 0.07%. It's just like something that happened at the same time that you would have thought would have had no like correlation. But unfortunately, it did have a huge correlation, not the beluga thing, but the Dan thing. And he was right, so everything really just exploded. Like, that was just kind of like a little taste of what was to come. But everything really just went red hot, explosion, fired, bad. It just got really bad this one night when, once again, Charlotte came over to hang out with Will, and the parents went out, and Dan also happened to be there because, he was home from college or whatever, right? And so just once again, the parents decided to go out, and they actually, they stay over at this place. They stay over at their friend's house or whatever. So they're going to be there, or they're staying in a hotel. For some reason, I don't know exact details, but for some reason, they're going to be gone for the whole night. So Charlotte is planning on sleeping over at this point. And so Will and Charlotte are pretty excited, for different reasons, unfortunately. Speaking of sleepovers, today's, secret word is sleepover. So if you made it this far into the video, video, comment sleepover down below. I will be filtering the comments by the secret word and trying to heart as many of them as possible. I can't get to them all, but if you want the greatest chance of getting a heart, maybe farming some hearts on the channel and potentially getting top commenter, comment sleepover down below. Haven't done this in a second, but every once in a while I will randomly shout out a channel member who comments on the channel. So yeah, shout out to the guy on screen. I really appreciate you, and if you want to become a channel member, you can do so by hitting the join button down below. And finally, today's your lucky day, because if you leave a like in the video, you'll actually get nothing, dude, so leave a like. Anyways, back to the story. Anyways, right, so, Charlotte comes over, and, Charlotte and Will are pretty excited to be over there, once, as I said before, for different reasons, and Dan is just at this point chilling upstairs. So the plan is, right, watch a movie, and then, I don't know, go to bed or something. Pretty standard. To flip on a movie, Charlotte's on her phone a lot, texting someone, and Will kind of, looks over a little bit, and Charlotte's just being very weird. But the thing was, right, Will was at a point, he thought, he just, at this point, he just was so far in this relationship that he just kind of, blindly trusted her. So while he felt it was a little weird, in retrospect, it was obviously part of something, he didn't think anything of it. He was like, oh, she's texting someone. Who cares? Could be her mom, could be her cousin, could be her friends. Maybe her friend's in trouble, needs boy advice or something. Maybe that's why she doesn't want me to, look over her shoulder. I can also just give her privacy. And I know personally for me, even if I'm not doing anything weird on my phone, I just prefer people not to watch. And also, I don't like people holding my phone or going on my phone without me there, just because I don't know what I have on there. I don't really have anything weird, but bro, it just feels weird. Anyways, right, so the movie, it's basically over, and, they decide to head upstairs, and, Charlotte and Will, the plan is, right, they're gonna sleep in the same bed. Ooh, whatever, right? So they decide to sleep in their own bed, and on that floor, down the hall, Dan is sleeping in his bed, which is gonna become kind of important later on, and down the hall as well as the bathroom. So Dan's room is right next to the bathroom, so if anyone wanted to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, they'd have to walk all the way down from Will's room and go to Dan's room, obviously unless you were Dan in Dan's room. But anyways, right, so that's just kind of important to know. So anyways, right, Charlotte and Will, they get ready for bed, and then they go to bed, and I don't know, they're on their phones for a little while. I know at least it takes me, I'll be on my phone, on TikTok for 30 minutes or whatever. Actually, I recently deleted that app to make more space, to make more videos, but I re-downloaded it 4 in the morning for some reason. Dude, I need to get a life. Anyways, right, so, they're on TikTok, they're on their phones or whatever, and then eventually, they decide to go to bed. So Will gets up, turns off the lights, and they're just sitting there. And, he notices, right? He notices that, Charlotte doesn't really go to sleep. Because you can tell when someone goes to sleep. You can tell when they're, sleeping pattern, the way that they breathe. It just, it sounds different. I know that sounds a little weird, but he was just kind of sitting there. He notices that she was just kind of, very kind of, stiff and just, breathing normally, as if she was, waiting. And he's like, okay, that's a little strange. But once again, as, earlier, he doesn't think much of it. This is just stuff in retrospect that he's like, wow, I didn't see it, right? But, he doesn't think much of it, and he goes to sleep. And, just some amount of time later, he has no idea how long he's been asleep for at this point. But some amount of time later, he goes and he kind of wakes up, he's groggy. He has to go to the bathroom, right? He drank a lot of water, hours before, which is always a recipe to get you up. So he gets up, he's like, oh, I gotta go pee. So he walks down the hallway, and he's about to go to the bathroom. He goes into the bathroom, he goes over to the toilet, and he's about to, take a pee when, anyways, I'm gonna say this with as little words as possible, but basically what happens is, Will, he just hears certain sounds coming from Dan's room. And, normally Will wouldn't, barge in there or anything. But the problem is he also, along with those sounds, he heard, certain voices talking. And unfortunately, one of them was very clearly Charlotte. So, yeah. Oh, boy. Anyways, yeah, so Dan just kind of, he opens the door. And I'm just not going to say anything because I don't want to be thunderbolted by YouTube. But you can use your filthy imaginations, you creatures, right? And you can figure out what's going on. So obviously, right, Dan is just there's no way. He's pissed. Slams the door, goes downstairs and just gets in his car to go for a drive. Because I don't know, but some people, like, when they're really upset or just need some time to think, or just because it's fun, they just go for a drive and they're just going around. And, you know, Dan is just sitting there listening to, he just turns on some music and just starts driving. And he keeps getting calls from both Dan, his brother, and Charlotte, his girlfriend of the time, at that moment. Not for long, but at that moment. And he's just ignoring them. He's just driving. He's just thinking. He's just like, there's a lot for me to unpack here. So Will texts a few of his friends, and one of his friends gets back to him and says, hey, what's up, dude? Because it's like 2:30 in the morning, so obviously not everyone's up. And Will basically gives a quick, like, 30-second explanation of what's going on, and he just asks if he can come over. And the friend's like, dude, of course you can come over. Jesus Christ, like, what are you, like, oh my God, like, that's awful. And he's like, yeah, dude. And he's like, hey, man, of course, come over. So Will drives over to his friend's house and just decides to stay the night there instead of going back to his house. But he also sends 2 texts, one to his brother Dan and one to Charlotte. The text to Dan basically was very short and just was like, why? Like, why would you do that? And the one to Charlotte was Y plus we're breaking up plus L plus ratio, minus the L ratio. But, you know, he was just like, Y plus we're done. And let me just say that, yeah, so, you know, Charlotte and Will, they were done. That was it after that night. It was over. And Dan, you know, eventually, right, you know, Will did come back, and Dan and Will were just on awful terms, like terrible, terrible terms. And eventually, like within a month or so, Dan moved out and he got like an apartment somewhere. And the parents were kind of never really informed of what happened. They just assumed that Dan wanted to move out. And so basically, right, Dan and Will were on awful terms at this point, but they did agree that they just didn't want to get their parents involved because that would just be a lot of stress and drama. And yeah, so no happy ending to this one. It's just bad. Subscribe if you haven't already. Now go watch another video. There might be some on screen or in the sidebar. Click it or I'll cry. I'm not even kidding.